Alright, ignore the radio silence I've made in the past few months, but what's going on, guys? As you may or may not have noticed, Elemental Warzone finally dropped for the public, and I've been having a lot of fun playing for the past few days. While I've played, I've noticed that I've seen a lot of people struggling with the early game, trying to figure out how to get gems, shards, kills, and overall just how to progress. I'll assume the average player has already went through the tutorial, but if you haven't, you should go ahead, play that real quick so you can get the gist of how the basics work. Anyways, the first step will actually be to submit some codes. Currently we have two codes where Sorry for Shutdown gives 2 times XP for 45 minutes and EBG in the Big 2025, which will give a decent amount of gems and shards to actually start off with. I'd recommend waiting to use Sorry for Shutdown until you've gone through the entire video so you can maximize your XP gain when you're done watching. Moving forward, you want to head into your settings and configure them to your liking, but personally I would recommend turning off depth of field and camera shake. Next up, we'll finally be choosing our starting element. This is like picking your starter Pokemon that'll get you through the early stages of progression. I would highly recommend choosing Fire as your first element since it provides a lot of really high damaging skills. It also comes with a spell like Blaze Column, which can actually help you start combo chaining spells, so it'll make fighting higher level players much easier. Now there's no sugarcoating this, but progression early on before hitting level 30 or 40 will suck. And for right now, you will die a lot. In about a month or so, the game will be updated to have PvE, which will help meet your needs for gems and shards without competing with other players to progress. But as of right now, the only ways for a beginner to obtain gems and shards currently are through leveling up and killing players. You can also randomly find some shards and gems that will fall from the sky around the middle part of the map, and will usually give some nice amount of gems and shards if you ever see them, so you should definitely pick them up if you do. Also, a quick disclaimer, you should avoid joining servers that have level 40 plus in the server slot so you don't start off in hell. Now, while killing players will provide a decent amount of gems and shards, you will almost always be in the middle of 2 or 3 people doing giant AoE moves, and you're just gonna have to deal with that, unfortunately, if you want some kills. As I mentioned before, you can also level up through spamming spells at the ground, but this will usually just be a way slower method of leveling up instead of fighting actual players, since when you actually kill a player, you gain some XP. Now, I'm not sure exactly how much that value is, but I do know it's a pretty good amount of XP, so if you're really trying to go for some kills, you should save up some shards to buy your ultimate skill and just target a group of people and get some kills that way. By the way, if you want to go through the route of just AFKing with a macro to level up with spells, keep in mind that you won't gain any XP within the safe zone, so I wouldn't personally recommend this since it's pretty hard to find a good hiding spot from other players if you don't want to die. Also, you should keep in mind that it is bannable to macro spells for levels outside the map borders. Now with that out of the way, I want to talk about holding your spells and alternative usage for your spells. Most spells can be held down to either increase damage, increase the amount of projectiles, increase range, or increase the velocity of a spell. A spell like Fire Bullets, for example, can be held down and it will shoot out more projectiles to deal way more damage if all of them land. I should also mention that holding down a spell won't drain any extra mana, so in some cases it's actually pretty much incentivized to just hold down a spell. I also mentioned alternative usages for spells. For example, with the Fireball, if you double click the spell, you can actually travel with your fireball and land exactly where you fired it, which is pretty good for mobility. Moving away from spells, a really important combat mechanic this game has that the older game doesn't is the mana burst ability. Everyone can use the mana burst at the start of the game, and mana bursting is pretty much your get out of jail free card whenever you get caught in a combo. Doing a mana burst will cost 200 mana and will let you break free from stun and grant you iframes for about 2 seconds, in which some cases can actually help you start a combo on someone if they use a spell that has some end lag or leaves them open for a counter. Another way I sometimes use mana burst is using it like a parry, where if you're about to eat something like a lightning ultimate, you can actually burst right before you get hit so you won't take the 400 damage. Keep in mind that mana burst has a very long cooldown, but a way to replenish it faster is through getting a kill on someone. However, getting assists will not replenish this. Lastly, for help with getting kills, you can always work with a friend to make progression much more fun in the long run. Now, fast forwarding into your progression about maybe 10 or so levels, you want to head over into the blue icon in the bottom left corner and you might notice that you have some investment points that you can put into your character. Personally, I'd recommend putting points into mana as a priority, since players may often find themselves out of mana in the middle of a fight. You'll get 2 points for every level up, with the maximum being 400 points at level 200, and if you ever feel unsatisfied with your stat investments later down the road, you can always reset it for 150 gems or 99 Robux. As you progress, you're going to be racking up a bunch of gems, and you're going to start wanting to think about what your next element should be to make you stronger. Every element has their uses, and your moveset can be mixed and matched with any and every element. Now, you need to keep in mind that trying to use something like fire bullets with water bullets in your inventory will put the other one on cooldown. So you should always have one of every attack type icon so you don't put your other moves on a cooldown. Now, for actually choosing an element, there isn't currently a Trelo yet, but if you're looking to buy an element worth 375 gems, I'd personally recommend choosing Wind, since it's really good all around, but Earth and Lightning also has some really good moves as well. Now, if you want to choose either Light or Dark, both elements are really good. However, Darkness will usually deal more damage than Light, while Light has faster spells to work with. Keep in mind that getting a higher end element will be much more penalizing to your mana than a starter element. However, something neat about getting an element like Light or Darkness is that the moves will actually grant more XP than a lower tier element like Fire or Water when you use them. Now, with everything said, you should have an easier time progressing through the earlier stages of the game, and once you reach above level 40, you won't be able to gain any rewards from killing other players below level 40, so you'll be incentivized to play in the servers that have a level 40 plus requirement. Beyond level 40, or if you want to start progressing toward a passive once you start, you're required to invest in 100 or 101 points into a stat, and you'll be able to obtain the passive automatically. Every passive is really good, some come with downsides, but are really strong factors when creating a build in the long run. However, I want you to keep in mind that you can only obtain one passive for your build. Also, if you have 1500 capacity in mana or stamina, investing more points will not increase the capacity. However, investing in the health can go higher than 1500. Now, if you're wondering what would be the point in going higher than 100 points in the mana or stamina, investing higher will actually grant a stronger passive depending on how high you invested into the stat. There's a passive mastery that I should recommend for you to get. It'd definitely be the mana passive, since it comes with no downsides and comes with really strong passives like making your mana burst ragdoll people near you, decreasing spells cooldowns, and increasing mana regeneration. Now, if you have any more questions about the game or need help with progressing, you can leave a comment and I answer as many as I possibly can. But if you want more insight about the game and future updates for the game, I'll leave the Discord for the game in the description below, since they actually have a lot of frequently asked questions for beginning players. Other than that, that's all I got for you guys today. I'm definitely planning on making more videos for the game, such as a spell tier list, how to limit break past level 100, and showcasing every stat mastery passive. Also, a quick change of subject, as I was recording, they released a new update patch with a new code that gives 2 times XP for 15 minutes, along with some gems. I'll put the code on screen and in the comments. Anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.